"You don't need any light to see these threads," said Mrs. Pepper, winding up hers carefully, as she spoke, on an old spool. "Take care, Polly, you broke that. Thread's dear now." "I couldn't help it," said Polly vexedly. "It snapped. Everything's dear now, seems to me. I wish we could have, ever and ever so many candles, as many as we wanted. I'd light 'em all, so there, and have it light here one night anyway." "Yes, and go dark all the rest of the year like as anyway," observed Mrs. Pepper, stopping to untie a knot. "Folks who do so never have any candles," she added sententiously. "How many'd you have, Polly?" asked Joel, curiously, laying down his hammer and regarding her with the utmost anxiety. "Oh, 200, said Polly decidedly. "I'd have 200 all in a row." 200 candles!" echoed Joel in amazement. "My walkety, what a lot!" "Don't say such dreadful words, Joel," put in Polly nervously, stooping to pick up her spool of basting thread that was racing away all by itself. "'Tisn't nice." "'Tisn't worse'n to wish you'd got things you haven't," retorted Joel. "I don't believe you'd light 'em all at once," he added incredulously. "Yes, I would, too," replied Polly recklessly. 200 of 'em, if I had a chance, all at once, so there, Joey Pepper." "Oh," said little Davie, drawing a long sigh. "Why, 'twould be just like heaven, Polly. But wouldn't it cost money, though?" "I don't care," said Polly, giving a flounce in her chair, which snapped another thread. "Oh, dear me! I didn't mean to, Mammy. Well, I wouldn't care how much money it cost. We'd have as much light as we wanted for once, so." "Goodness," said Mrs. Pepper. "You'd have the house afire. 200 candles. Whoever heard of such a thing?" "Would they burn?" asked Phronsie anxiously, getting up from the floor where she was crouching with David, overseeing Joel nail on the cover of an old box, and going to Polly's side she awaited her answer patiently. "Burn?" said Polly. "There, that's done now, Mamsie dear." And she put the coat with a last little pat into her mother's lap. "I guess they would, Phronsie pet." And Polly caught up the little girl and spun round and round the old kitchen till they were both glad to stop. "Then," said Phronsie, as Polly put her down and stood breathless after her last glorious spin, "I do so wish we might, Polly. Oh, just this very 1 minute." And Phronsie clasped her fat little hands in rapture at the thought. "Well," said Polly, giving a look up at the old clock in the corner, "goodness me, it's 5:30, and most time for Ben to come home." Away she flew to get supper. So for the next few moments nothing was heard but the pulling out of the old table into the middle of the floor, the laying of the cloth, and all the other bustle attendant upon getting ready for Ben. Polly went skipping around, cutting the bread and bringing dishes, only stopping long enough to fling some scraps of reassuring nonsense to the two boys, who were thoroughly dismayed at being obliged to remove their traps into a corner. Phronsie still stood just where Polly left her. 200 candles! Oh, what could it mean? She gazed up to the old beams overhead and around the dingy walls and to the old black stove with the fire nearly out, and then over everything the kitchen contained, trying to think how it would seem, to have it bright and winsome and warm, to suit Polly. "Oh!" she screamed. "Goodness!" cried Polly, taking her head out of the old cupboard in the corner. "How you scared me, Phronsie." "Would they never go out?" asked the girl gravely, still standing where Polly left her. "What?" asked Polly, stopping with a dish of cold potatoes in her hand. "What, Phronsie?" "Why, the candles," said the child. "The ever and ever so many pretty lights." "Oh, my senses!" cried Polly with a little laugh. "Haven't you forgotten that? Yes. No, that is, Phronsie, if we could have 'em at all, we wouldn't ever let 'em go out." "Not once?" asked Phronsie, coming up to Polly with a little skip, and nearly upsetting her, potatoes and all. "Not once, Polly, truly?" "No, not forever and ever," said Polly. "Take care, Phronsie, there goes a potato. No, we'd keep 'em always." "No, you don't want to," said Mrs. Pepper, coming out of the bedroom in time to catch the last words. "They won't be good tomorrow. Better have 'em tonight, Polly." "Ma'am," said Polly, setting down her potato dish on the table and staring at her mother with all her might. "Have what, Mother?" "Why, the potatoes, to be sure," replied Mrs. Pepper. "Didn't you say you better keep 'em, child?" "'Twasn't potatoes at all," said Polly with a little gasp. "'Oh, dear me, here's Ben!" For the door opened, and Phronsie, with a scream of delight, bounded into Ben's arms. "It's just jolly," said Ben, coming in, his chubby face all aglow and his big blue eyes shining so honest and true. "It's just jolly to get home. Supper ready, Polly?" "Yes," said Polly. "That is, all but—" and she dashed off for Phronsie's eating apron. "Sometime," said Phronsie, with her mouth half full when the meal was nearly over, "we're going to be awful rich. We are, Ben, truly." "No," said Ben, affecting the most hearty astonishment. "You don't say so, chick." "Yes," said Phronsie, shaking her yellow head very wisely at him, and diving down into her cup of very weak milk and water to see if Polly had put any sugar in by mistake, a custom always expectantly observed. "Yes, we really are, Bensie, very dreadful rich." "I wish we could be rich now, then," said Ben, taking another generous slice of the brown bread, "in time for Mamsie's birthday." And he cast a sorrowful glance at Polly. "I know," said Polly. "Oh, dear, if we only could celebrate it." "I don't want any other celebration," said Mrs. Pepper, beaming on them so that a little flash of sunshine seemed to hop right down on the table, "than to look around on you all. I'm rich now, and that's a fact." "Mamsie doesn't mind her 5 bothers," cried Polly, jumping up and running to hug her mother, thereby producing a like desire in all the others, who immediately left their seats and followed her example. "Mother's rich enough," ejaculated Mrs. Pepper, her bright black eyes glistening with delight, as the noisy troop filed back to their bread and potatoes. "If we can only keep together, dears, and grow up good, so that the little brown house won't be ashamed of us, that's all I ask." "Well," said Polly in a burst of confidence to Ben after the table had been pushed back against the wall, the dishes nicely washed, wiped, and set up neatly in the cupboard, and all traces of the meal cleared away, "I don't care. Let's try to get a celebration somehow for Mamsie." "How are you going to do it?" asked Ben, who was of a decidedly practical turn of mind, and thus couldn't always follow Polly in her flights of imagination. "I don't know," said Polly, "but we must, some way." "Pooh, that's no good," said Ben disdainfully. Then seeing Polly's face, he added kindly, "Let's think, though, and perhaps there'll be some way." "Oh, I know," cried Polly in delight. "I know the very thing, Ben. Let's make her a cake, a big one, you know, and—" "She'll see you bake it," said Ben, "or else she'll smell it, and that'd be just as bad." "No, she won't either," replied Polly. "Don't you know she's going to help Mrs. Henderson tomorrow? So there." "So she is," said Ben. "Good for you, Polly. You always think of everything." "And then," said Polly, with a comfortable little feeling in her heart at Ben's praise, "why, we can have it all out of the way perfectly splendid when she comes home. And besides, Grandma Bascom'll tell me how. You know we've only got brown flour, Ben. I mean to go right over and ask her now." "Oh, no, you mustn't," cried Ben, catching hold of her arm as she was preparing to fly off. "Mammy'll find it out. Better wait till tomorrow. And besides, Polly, the stove'll act like everything tomorrow. I know 'twill. Then what'll you do?" "It shan't," said Polly, running up to look it in the face. "If it does, I'll shake it, the mean old thing." The idea of Polly's shaking the lumbering old black affair sent Ben into such a peal of laughter that it brought all the other children running to the spot, and nothing would do but they must one and all be told the reason. So Polly and Ben took them into confidence, which so elated them that half an hour later, when long past her bedtime, Phronsie declared, "I'm not going to bed. I want to sit up like Polly." "Don't tease her," whispered Polly to Ben.